The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
4, 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everyone. I am Christine Nicholas, the chair of the New York State Tourism Advisory Council. And before I call this meeting to order and take attendance, I did want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. I know there was a debate here, thanks to Gary Hahn being down visiting from the National Comedy Center, whether Larry David is correct that it is too late, indeed, to wish everyone a Happy New Year. But we say, the heck with that. Right. We love New York, so we have the heart, and we're friendly and kind and nice and loving. So Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
So I would like to call the meeting to order. I have to say the time, which is 11:04, and we will start by taking attendance. For those video conferencing in, I'll call the names from the RSVP list that I have here. So Natasha Caputo. I can't see them, though, this time. We usually can see them. Can we hear them? No? Okay. How about Barbara Diamondstein Spielvogel? You can see who's on?
Barbara. Yeah, we can see it on here.
Okay, Kelly is on, right?
Mm-hmm. Kelly Blazowski. Here.
All right. Hey, Kelly Blazowski. Okay. Is George and Tim on?
Yes.
Yes. Hey,
yes,
George.
I am.
Excellent.
Hi.
Hello. Catherine Nichols?
Not yet.
Okay, and Alexandra Stanton? Yep. Okay, and Assembly Member Danny O'Donnell?
I am here.
Hello, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm in the lovely town of Albany.
All right, beautiful. Okay, thank you so much for joining us.
Natasha and Eleanor just joined.
Okay, and Natasha Caputo?
Hello.
Hello. And Eleanor Tatum?
Hello, everybody.
Hello. So we have some TAC members who didn't respond, but I just want to see if they're on. Is Dan Fuller on? Okay, I thought Dan might have been joining us. Is there anyone else that I didn't call out that's online? Nope. Okay, we're all set then. So just as a reminder for those conferencing in, please place yourself on mute to eliminate any background noise during the meeting. And if you'd like to say something, feel free to unmute yourself and speak. Now we're going to go around the room with introductions. So I will start. We'll start with the TAC members. Well, Ross, why don't we start?
Okay. I'm Ross Levi. I'm the Executive Director of the New York State Division of Tourism and a Vice President here at Empire State Development.
Rich Gagliano, SVP Marketing at ESD. David Gutierrez-Turley, doing the Tour Relations with New York. Good morning.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Genya Grant. I'm the president of the Greater Wyandanch Chamber of Commerce and also the principal of Black Tourism New York, a startup tourism marketing agency.
Sarah Emmert, Senior Director of Tourism Policy and Operations, I Love New York.
Rhiannon Edlund, Manager of Tourism Policy Programs at I Love New York.
Maddie June, Director of Marketing, New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation.
Valerie Knobloch, and I'm a TAC member. That's nice.
Hi there, David Filipiak. I'm a TAC member. Randy Borges, I'm a guest.
Always welcome, Randy.
Thank you very much. Gary Hahn, Vice President of Marketing at the National Comedy Center, a guest and honored to be here.
Greg Marshall, founder of Genesee Journeys.
Rowena Sahuli, founder of Meaningful Experiences.
George Moss, Chief of Staff for Senator Serrano.
Hey, we always have you on phone.
Yeah, I know.
It's great to
so
have
it's
you
nice
in person
to be back
today,
in person.
George.
Yeah,
Excellent.
thank you.
Okay, we got everybody, right? Okay, excellent. So all members have been emailed a copy of the minutes, and they're also available on the ESD website. Are there any changes to the minutes?
I'll move their approval.
Thank you very much, Valerie, and I need a second from a TAC member.
That'll be me.
All right, David. Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, so the motion carries and the minutes are approved. So I wanted to start my chair's report by sharing some of the tourism-related announcements made by Governor Hochul since we last met. In November, Governor Hochul announced the completion of a waterfront project at the Sojourner Truth State Park in Ulster County to better connect visitors with the Hudson River. The project is highlighted by a 2,000 square foot shaded community pavilion plus a gathering space, resurfaced fishing platform, benches and picnic tables, newly planted native trees, shrubs, and grasses further to enhance the site's recovery from a hub for brick and cement manufacturing. The waterfront area will also contain bilingual interpretive signs about the river and the site's history. The small lawn area, which boulders salvaged during construction, will provide additional informational seating overlooking the Hudson River. A new ADA-compliant river pavilion trail leads to the Hudson River Brickyard Trail, which is also part of the Empire State Trail to the waterfront. And I would be remiss if we didn't mention Sojourner Truth's background. So I am going to invite our guest, if you would like to say a few words about Sojourner Truth.
It's Sojourner Truth. Thank you, first of all, for the opportunity to attend this meeting. And it's when I saw that this was being profiled, I was extremely happy, given the fact that my endeavor is to promote cultural tourism and inclusivity. Sojourner Truth is definitely one of our American heroes, not just African American heroes, but American heroes, which in her legacy dates back, just centuries, actually. So, and decades. But what I think that is most fitting for this project is the fact that it embraces beauty and freedom when you look at it, just in general, and it being at the waterfront, and the open space part of it. And when you think about, what times were like during her time, that is probably the opposite. Having space, having the freedom, and having, that connection to a park and tourism and water. Obviously, it's kind of like antithesis. But she is one of our heroes, and I'm glad that that there is a park, obviously, that's being spotlighted in her honor.
Thank you so much. Anybody else have anything to add? Well, we look forward to seeing it in person and also remembering the profound impact. December marked also the opening of a new $46 million Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Welcome Center at Niagara Falls State Park. We have some friends here from that region. The center will provide modern amenities to the millions of annual visitors and information on the regional attractions. The 28,000 square foot Welcome Center features glass walls and a low roof to maximize views and connections to the falls. Other amenities include new ticketing and information desks and new accessible paths. The governor also announced 2 additional projects: renovations to the Niagara Arts and Cultural Center Auditorium, and the restoration of historic buildings at Oakwood Cemetery that will complement the Welcome Center and support the overall goal of improving the Niagara Falls visitor experience. First phase of completion of the Adirondack Rail Trail. So construction has been completed on the first phase, a 34-mile multi-use recreational corridor between Tupper Lake and Lake Placid. The first of 3 construction phases converted the former rail bed along the Lake Placid and Saranac Lake segment of the corridor into a world-class shared-use path that will be open all year free of charge. Upon completion of all 3 phases of construction, the Adirondack Rail Trail will connect the communities of Lake Placid, Saranac Lake, and Tupper Lake. The route will provide visitors with the opportunity to enjoy the unique charm of each community while providing access to miles of trails and campsites. Okay. The governor announced that Belmont Stakes, the third leg of the horse racing's Triple Crown, will be held at Saratoga Racecourse in 2024 to allow for an uninterrupted construction of the reimagined Belmont Park. The 2024 festivities will begin on Thursday, June 6th for the 4-day festival and will include 23 stake races with nearly $10 million in total purses. NYRA tracks are the cornerstone of New York State's horse racing economy, which supports 19,000 jobs and generates more than $3 billion in annual statewide impact. It is expected that this race will generate significant economic activity through tourism to the Saratoga Springs community and throughout the capital region. Last month, Governor Hochul signed a legislative package to support. Okay, we got that. Okay, very good. Last month, Governor Hochul signed a legislative package to support New York's food and beverage industry. One piece of that package will increase the number of cuisine and craft beverage trails in the state, which showcase products made by local farms and agricultural producers. Expanding the number of trails builds on Governor Hochul's continued efforts to support local food production as well as New York State's tourism economy. This one's near and dear to my heart. As of November, more than 100,000 low or no-cost tickets have been made available by Broadway and off-Broadway productions participating in the New York City Musical and Theatrical Production Tax Credit. The deeply discounted tickets, which can be as little as $20, were sold to members of the community who might not otherwise have had the opportunity to experience a show. Over 90 plays and musicals are participating in the program. Under the New York State Musical and Theatrical Production Tax Credit, shows are required to create and implement a plan to ensure that their production is available and accessible for low or no cost to low-income New Yorkers. As part of the FY 2024 New York State budget, Governor Hochul secured a major expansion of the New York City Musical and Theatrical Tax Credit program to include off-Broadway productions. In early December, the governor announced that work is underway on a project to transform the Ogdensburg International Airport into a regional transportation hub. The project, which was awarded $18 million from the state, will expand the check-in, ticketing, and baggage drop-off areas, construct a new canopy over the curbside drop-off pickup area, install new passenger information display systems, and make other improvements to enhance the passenger experience and create a state-of-the-art gateway. And finally, we have some exciting news to share from the New York State Council on the Arts. On January 18th, Governor Hochul announced that Erica Mallon was appointed to NYSCA's new executive director. Erica joins NYSCA from the Aspen Institute Arts program, where she gathered artists and cultural leaders to honor their work and roles in tackling major social and civic issues. She also led the arts programming for the renowned Aspen Ideas Festival and served as the executive director of Signature Theater Company. Catherine, she did not. Okay, very good. So that concludes my report. Are there any questions that anyone may have? Okay. With that, then I'm going to turn it over to Rich and to Ross for an update from I Love New York programming. Ross?
Great, thank you. I'll say Happy New Year, too.
Happy New Year.
Because I'm not going to live my life by Larry David, God knows. Anyway, some things, that's true. There's wisdom there sometimes, that's true. Good to see everybody. So it's that time of year, January, where a lot is going on in Albany to get ready for the upcoming year. The governor, of course, delivered her State of the State address, released her executive budget for fiscal year 24-25. And the budget in particular had important things for the tourism industry. Most important probably to us here at the table from I Love New York, continued $58.5 million for I Love New York's tourism promotional efforts, which of course attracts visitors around the world. That's our budget. And that has remained constant. And that's a pretty high level, and so the fact that it remains the same is good news for us. Included within that amount is an additional round of $15 million in competitive funding for Market New York. As you all know, helps support tourism marketing and capital and special events projects across the state that others do, as well as $2.45 million of tourism matching grants for our county tourism promotion agents and DMOs to help the counties and municipalities in their local tourism efforts. The governor also proposed, as she did last year, though it didn't make it into the final, placing a state and local sales tax on all vacation rentals across the state, including the daily New York City Convention Center hotel fee here in the city. So, because currently, I think as most of us know, short-term rentals such as Airbnb and Vrbo, they do not necessarily collect state taxes. And depending on location, a number of counties do not collect even the local sales tax on the rentals of the rental companies. So this proposal would then level that playing field between the vacation and rental economy and traditional hotels and motels in the state. It's something the industry has been looking for. Even Airbnb is in favor of it. So that's included in the executive budget proposal right now as well. The governor also proposed the establishment of the Erie Canal Bicentennial Commission to celebrate the upcoming 200th anniversary of the original Erie Canal's completion. You'll all remember just a few years ago when we were commemorating the start, so we have to commemorate the completion as well. Any excuse to celebrate the canal we're excited about. The commission would be responsible for the planning, scheduling, and executing of a series of public meetings and events throughout 2024, and developing a calendar of commemorative events to be held beginning next January. And then that would all culminate in the World Canals Conference coming to Buffalo at the Canals Terminus in September 2025. Also, as part of the State of the State and budget, in time for the New York State Parks Centennial Celebration, which you'll hear more about from our guest speaker in a little bit, the governor proposed a historic set of investments in our world-class state park system, which is always good news for us at I Love New York, since we're always busy promoting that as part of our work. The executive budget includes $300 million in capital funding to implement state-of-the-art swimming facilities, which can serve thousands of daily visitors. Such capital improvements include a floating swim structure on Quarry Lake inside Sojourner Truth State Park, the aforementioned, and a new bathhouse at Jones Beach. So a lot of great new amenities included in that proposal. The governor also proposed investments in the arts sector, including $50 million in new capital funding for NYSCA to offer an additional round of grants, and a new program titled Arts Pluribus Unum, which is an investment in public art projects, including a state-of-the-arts fellowship program, web resources to drive tourism to cultural attractions, and a grant program to fund public murals across the state. Also included in the governor's proposal was $82.5 million in new capital funding for ORDA, the Olympic Regional Development Authority, to support continued maintenance and enhancements to the Olympic and other ORDA-owned facilities. And finally, to continue work that began in 2023, the governor proposed a historic $19.5 billion plan to transform JFK International Airport with an overhaul of the airport's 8 disparate terminal sites into one unified JFK. We've been hearing about it. It continues. I think it bears repeating on the airports. Basically, new airports have been built in New York, and people don't notice because the old one keeps going. But they certainly would notice if we shut it down for 2 years and built a new one. But what they're doing instead is doing it in phases. But at the end of the day, we will have a new airport. It's the first new airport built in the United States since Denver, I think, in 7 years or something. So we can't talk about it enough as far as I'm concerned. So that was all in the governor's proposal. We look forward to the months ahead in the budget cycle and see where it all shakes out. But we start in a good, strong place. In terms of what what I Love New York has been up to since our last meeting, certainly winter is in full effect upon us. Right. For those of us who came down from Albany, we felt it this morning. We have launched, of course, our I Love New York winter commercial, which highlights outdoor winter recreation, of course, skiing, ice skating, but also indoor stuff like spa getaways. It's currently running in our target markets. Hopefully you've seen it because it's within our 5-hour drive range from New York State, and that includes, of course, the state itself. In case you haven't seen it, we always like to play it, so here you go.
New York in winter. It's easy. Easy to go off the trail. Easy to make your own. Easy to stay cool. Easy to warm up. Easy to love New York, and it's easy to plan your getaway at iloveny.com.
So that's running now through late Feb. Right. So still in rotation, which is important, particularly for skiing, which goes all the way to April if we're lucky. Our digital team, headed by Anna Packman, also launched the Winter Digital campaign at the beginning of December with paid social media ads focusing on winter activities like skiing and snowboarding, winter hiking, shopping, visiting museums, and more. We're continuously supporting the winter campaign organically across all the I Love New York social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Threads. Heard of Threads. We have also published several winter-themed blogs.
Facebook's version of Twitter/X.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes. Hasn't really caught on, but it's there.
Gotcha. It's there. We've also published several winter-themed blogs, including New York's best winter photo spots and how to spend the weekend in New York's coolest ski towns. And as always, we encourage folks to get out and embrace all the great winter opportunities. The state, your tourism counts as well. So, and by all means, visit our winter hub on ilovenewyork.com/winter for all those great ideas. Speaking of winter, we're a part of a new event this year. Just this past weekend, David Turley and myself were up at Bel Air because I Love New York sponsored the 2024 New York Pride Ski Weekend. As far as we know, this is the first event of its kind in lower New York State. It was years ago that there was an LGBTQ ski weekend at Bristol Mountain for a couple of years, but that hasn't been for a while now. And as far as we know, this is the only ski event dedicated to the LGBT community this year. The event was hosted by the Pride Center of the Capital Region in partnership with Bel Air Mountain, Ulster County Tourism, Ski New York, and yes, us, I Love New York, LGBTQ. And of course, obviously, it is both to support the community, skiing in New York State, and Ulster County, along with the greater Catskills region. It featured discounted lift tickets, food vouchers, and an après-tea and an après ski event where our guests were able to enjoy food and drink and DJ, socializing. So congratulations in particular for David to help spur this great event for I Love New York LGBTQ. It was very well received. The amount of people who came up to us and said, we're so glad this is happening, we can't wait to go next year. Frankly, we put it together in about 2.5 months. So the fact that there's now positive momentum behind it and it's something we can announce, as early as this summer, should only help grow it. So we're excited about that. Also, as part of our winter activities, as part of our promotional partnership with the New York State Office of General Services, I Love New York was represented by our own Sarah Emmert at the tree lighting ceremony in Albany at the beginning of December. Sarah and her daughter and husband.
She's a little scared, though.
Yeah. There was fireworks and all. It was a lot. But the governor and local elected officials attended and kicked off the holiday festivities at the Empire State Plaza with an official tree lighting ceremony. It included special performances by local skating clubs because we helped sponsor the free skating rink there at the Capitol, as well as family fun events such as crafts for kids, live musical performances, and fireworks. The partnership that we have with OGS, which has been going for a number of years now, is aimed at leveraging the promotional opportunities to reach travelers that come to the Empire State Plaza ice rink each year, and not just the ice rink, but the whole area during the winter months. And we also, that partnership isn't limited to winter. We also are part of the fireworks in the summer, and so this partnership allows us to let folks know who are attending those events all the great things there are to do across New York State. We are just a little over 70 days away from the big day, the total eclipse, which you've heard about at prior meetings. On January 10th, the governor officially announced the launch of our new campaign to promote the solar eclipse, which includes a beautiful digital poster, which you will actually see on the screen here, hopefully. There it is, yes. So this is a digital poster. It's two pieces because it is running in a number of places across the state. So, for example, we've worked with our state partners at Port Authority and ORDA and the Thruway Authority to display it at places like our 11 welcome centers. You can see here what it looks like at Moynihan Train Hall, for example. So it directs traffic to our dedicated landing page on ilovenewyork.com. Which we're continuously updating with new eclipse events as those are announced, along with editorial posts that feature topics such as a curated eclipse playlist, 5 hours of songs that will inspire you connected to the eclipse. Yes, total eclipse of the heart, but also things you may not have thought about, like
we were talking about
Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, or getting deep. Carly Simon, You're So Vain, references in the lyrics, Total Eclipse.
Going to the Total Eclipse of the Sun.
So we went from the obvious to curious keyword. It was definitely fun.
And importantly, You're So Vain, the whole verse starts in Saratoga and goes to the Total Eclipse of the Sun. So there you go. So anyway, that's...
You walked into a pub and you were walking
Yeah.
So that was Saratoga?
No, I hear you went to Saratoga. Okay. And of course, your horse naturally won. Then I hear you went up to Nova Scotia to see the total eclipse of the sun.
Oh, there you go.
He got it all.
Wow, who knew we were doing music trivia tag? Very excited. But anyway, so also other eclipse efforts, state parks and several tourism stakeholders in Niagara Falls are collaborating with NASA to provide programming and special events around the total eclipse. Beginning on April 4th, NASA scientists, subject matter experts, and even astronauts will offer programming and exhibits throughout the city at different locations, and those are all going to be free and open to the public. So there's all kinds of promotions. You can see it on our website. They keep being added. There's going to be more to come, including even a second phase to this campaign coming in the upcoming months.
And just a point on the eclipse, to be clear, as Ross said, this is sort of phase one of the proactive marketing, and we're being very clear and mindful about the messaging to not over promote, because this is going to be, the eclipse is, the arc is basically covering all of the northern part of the state. It goes from Buffalo all the way arcing across to Plattsburgh. And it's a sensitive time of the year in the mountains, mud season. There's a lot of environmental concerns. They don't want people, in the woods climbing on mountains and things like that. Overcrowding, hotels are going. So we're being clear to not just over promote travel to New York. We're promoting come for the eclipse, stay for New York. So stay, plan a trip around it. So it's not just come for the one day. Because another issue is that we've seen in other cities that have had total eclipses recently is eclipse is over at 301, 302, every road in town is jammed. Because it's over with and everyone on that line. And people are going to remote areas. So there's like 2-lane roads. They don't want thousands of people all of a sudden. That was it. That was fun. Let's get in the car and go home now. Plan a bigger trip around it. So it helps promote tourism. It also helps promote the overcrowding issues. This first wave of marketing is really about awareness of the eclipse coming to New York. The second wave is going to be more about promoting safety and promoting, visit ilovenewyork.com/eclipse to find out about road closures and anything else, proper ways to view the eclipse. There's going to be a plan to distribute glasses. There'll be more on that in our next meeting. But we're being very mindful about not over promoting this as it's definitely a tourism piece, but it's tourism combined with safety and readiness.
Are you concerned that there will be a large influx from New York City Metro up north?
Yes.
Almost like on a Friday afternoon?
Yeah.
Right.
The answer is yes.
Parts of the state, because if you follow this, and David's our local Umbraphile, it's a word that I learned this year, there's going to be locals who are in the path who want to just experience it. They may cause traffic too. You're going from your home to a park or the riverfront or a lakefront. There may be local traffic. There's people coming from other parts of the state, from Vermont, Massachusetts, to be within that path. And there may be some people traveling from out of state. There are people who, there are people who are tracking the odds of the best percentage of having a clear sky that day. And I think the highest odds are like somewhere in Mexico, and then followed by Texas. So we're upstate New York in that time of year. It's going to be like 50-50 if you're going to get a clear blue sky.
60-40.
Right.
Bet my life on it.
40.
So you're going to get a lot of these, true like storm chaser eclipse followers who are doing their own calculations. We're trying to communicate to them as well. It's a relatively small amount, but for your general public, there's going to be people from other parts of the state who want to get into that path and experience the full.
I just imagine a lot of New Yorkers the week of will look at the forecast and be like, let's take a day trip.
Well, first of all, they'll have to see if they can find room. Because there are places that are full.
My favorite hotel in Skaneateles is already booked.
Right. There are a lot of hotels in Buffalo that are already booked.
And the ones that aren't are, if they're normally 100, 150, are like 400, 500, 600.
But some of the communities in the path, that's why they are doing things like having special events on Sunday rather than Monday as another incentive for people to come up early, stay late. And that's certainly part of our message right now. So more to come on the eclipse. So that's our consumer-facing marketing. Our tourism trade work is very much in full speed. You'll remember in past meetings, I was so excited to be able to get our federal funding to finally go bigger in domestic, for example, travel trade work, in addition to the international trade work that we've done. And that's really finally firing on all cylinders. We are just a couple days from having been at the American Bus Association Marketplace last week. And Heather McElhenney, who heads up our travel trade work, she was in Nashville representing I Love New York. It featured, of course, motor coach, tour operators, and travel industry suppliers from across the country country, looking to expand tour and group travel business. There are over 300 tour operators and more than 50 representatives from destinations, hotels, and attractions across New York State attended the show. So 50 reps from New York State as a whole. The I Love New York team ourselves had 40 one-on-one appointments and staffed a brand new, as you can see here, custom 20 by 20 foot booth, which received overwhelming praise from suppliers and buyer attendees for resources and visibility on the market floor. In past years, our partners at the DMOs of New York State took the lead on this with sponsorship from I Love New York, at least in the last couple of years. But cooperatively and thankfully, they tell us, we've been able to take the lead on it now from them and be able to have sort of this new, more unified, more splashy presence, particularly on the floor. And our partners tell us they're thrilled. That includes a tradition that began a few years ago of hosting a New York State operators breakfast for 500 people for the tour operators that were there. 500 people attended. It was, as it has for the past few years, our theme has been the idea of laughter. And thanks to the National Comedy Center, we were able to entertain this year with Yakov Smirnoff. There he is. And so
What a country.
What a country, what a show. And we
Florida State, right.
January 6th. I'm glad to hear it's
Yeah, very different.
Yeah, no, and poor Gary, Nashville was hit with, I think, single-digit weather and snow, temperatures and snow.
Wow.
As a result, it really impacted the show. And I was going to say, Yakov Smirnoff was not our original comedian. Our original comedian could not get in. Which Gary found out, I think, at 11 o'clock at night.
That's right, this night before.
And so 11 p.m. for breakfast the following morning. And somehow, Yakov Smirnoff was in town doing shows, and Gary, through his resourcefulness, is staying
That's awesome.
all night.
So great.
No.
Yeah.
So I hear it was
fantastic. Now, luckily, the audience did not know it was a switch because we had never
we never announced
Keith Alberstadt, who was the original comedian. So it just went very smooth.
I think going from Detroit the year before to Nashville, you'd be better with the weather.
Right. No, we were better when we were in Oklahoma.
Broadway.
Yeah.
And so in addition to the floor booth, the one-on-one meetings, and the breakfast, we held a New York State Buyers Reception on Monday evening. Locally, it's known as the Dine Around, with approximately 100 people attending. So we held it at Nashville Underground, which is kind of like a Dave & Buster's type situation, games and activities. And so our partners really love the idea of being able to have casual time, networking time. To have an icebreaker like, playing a game with these people is much different than just coming and having a cocktail and selling. And a number of our New York State partners told us that it was one of the best events they've been to and so valuable in terms of forming those relationships with potential buyers. So we're excited for that.
So wild.
Other trade work we did, our FAM tours continue. Very often that's about journalists, but we also are doing it for tour operators. And our colleague Danae Jones-Persip helped coordinate in early December 6 top UK operators who got to experience winter in New York State with a tour that evoked holiday movies such as It's a Wonderful Life, hence why you see folks here standing by the Bedford Falls sign. As part of that tour, they were in the Finger Lakes. They also visited New York City, Albany, Rochester as well within the Finger Lakes. And then another FAM tour earlier this month in January, 5 journalists also from the UK participated in a city and ski FAM. They spent 2 days in New York City and then skied Wyndham, Hunter, and Gore with a special stop to experience winter realms and winter dreams in Lake George, which I'll talk about more in a moment. And then the last trade activity I wanted to mention was I Love New York activated at the National Tour Association's annual Travel Exchange, T-Rex it's called, which took place last November in Shreveport, Louisiana. You may remember that Break the Ice is our retained rep helping us do our trade work. They were there representing us, having 45 one-on-one appointments. They organized 2 New York State delegations to participate in NTA sales missions, sponsored an official luncheon, and hosted an evening film-themed reception. So that's our trade work. Also want to let you know about work we've been doing to support our partners and the tourism industry as a whole. Taste New York, hopefully all of you by this point have heard of the great program. It's celebrating its 10th anniversary this year. And so I Love New York was happy to support our colleagues at the Department of Ag and Markets in celebrating that anniversary, which highlights food and beverage products and experiences across New York State. The New York State Welcome Centers, for example, represent a great opportunity, this partnership where together both ESD and Ag and Markets are able to promote both tourism and products. In November, the Adirondacks Welcome Center, in fact, reached a major milestone, attracting more than 1 million visitors. So that's a lot of folks that have gone through there in the Adirondacks. And I attended the final event for the anniversary celebration. They've been basically doing a tour at a bunch of different welcome centers. And the last one was at the Central New York Welcome Center at Destiny USA in Syracuse. And I joined Commissioner Richard Ball, who's such a great champion, not only of agriculture, but agritourism. And I shared some remarks there highlighting this ongoing collaboration between I Love New York and Taste New York.
And by the way, I noticed Taste New York had a shop in Grand Central, which had closed during COVID, and they're just reopening it now. Same exact spot. I saw them putting in the products, so it should be opening any day now. So if you're since you're all down here, you might want to swing by and check it out.
Yeah, I mean, we always encourage you to stop by those things. I was returning from the Pride Ski weekend and stopped at the Capital Region Welcome Center and got some great goodies to bring back. It's always a great opportunity.
If I may just interject, speaking of Taste New York and trains, W or the other Bush, I forget which one, when he was told that the cafe car serving the Hudson Valley, the Albany to New York route, which is heavily trafficked these days, was not making a profit, and therefore he said, shut it down. So I take it every weekend, and I watch mothers desperately trying to get, some Pepsi or water for their kids, and there's nothing on the train. There is an empty cafe car, which is not used for anything. But every time well, not every time, but I often think how nice it would be to have a Taste New York presence on those cars, and be promoting the agriculture and tourism wealth of the state, as well as serving those passengers.
Yeah. That's a great point, Randy. Thank you. We should definitely follow up with that.
Yeah, I mean, any train that begins or ends in Albany does not have cafe service. It is only the through trains that do it. That is an Amtrak decision.
Right.
However, we do have ongoing the ability to have discussions with them, so we'll see what we can do.
So if you took a train from Penn Station
to Albany,
but it's going to be going further,
if it goes
to
yes,
Montreal.
Correct.
That has
or to Western New York. If it goes to Syracuse, that has cafe service.
Okay, I see. So it has to only be a small, subset of this, right?
Right.
But we should still take advantage of it.
But it's a heavily trafficked route.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
For obvious reasons.
Okay.
We'll check. Stuff with Amtrak can be complicated, but we will inquire. I mentioned the Winter's Dream and Winter's Realm in Lake George. You see some pictures here. I was invited and was very pleased to be able to go to the opening of Winter's Dream. And as part of that, they're right nearby. I went to Winter's Realms as well. There are two extraordinary events that are taking place for the first time in Lake George. Winter's Dream, which is the top center and bottom left, is a multimedia experience featuring lights, original music, special effects, and interactivity to immerse yourself in winter fun. It's being held at Fort William Henry, so it actually sort of transforms the fort at night, and that is there through March 31st, so it is not too late to experience that. And then literally within walking distance is Winter Realms. That's what you see in the bottom center. It used last year, or I think the last year or two, it was called Ice Castles, which, as the name implied, were castles of ice. Mother Nature had some other plans for a project like that, which lasts for months. And so it has worked to become a sort of more resilient, shall we say, attraction, but a great winter destination. It's held at Charles R. Wood Park and features a multitude of activities, including ice skating, a polar ice bar, lights, ice sculptures. Through December, it had visits with Santa. I got to see him. What a great Santa. The nicest Santa I've ever seen. Anyway, it's open through March 3rd. So it's a great addition to Lake George for this time of year for visitors. I want to touch on some updates around licensing. We don't often talk about I Love New York's responsibility as stewards of the I Love New York logo, but by statute, we are in charge of controlling that logo and maximizing it, both for income for the state and for tourism promotion purposes. It is, in fact, the only dedicated funding stream for I Love New York is money made from licensing the logo. Everything else is discretionary, as you heard. Maybe it gets in the budget, maybe it doesn't get in the budget. But by statute, unless they change the statute, any licensing of the logo comes to us. We work with a firm we have for years worked with different firms that have an expertise in licensing. If you have no exposure to it, it is a whole world unto itself. You have no idea. So we're very happy to have experts do that. The contract was up, so we issued our RFP this fall, and the licensing agency Brand and Blend has again been awarded. They were our prior licensing agency for the last few years. Has been awarded a 5-year contract to manage our trademark. Of course, this whole program is under the supervision of Lisa Soto on our team. So under her tutelage and management, Brand and Blend has led our licensing effort for the past 7 years. It's a great firm, founded and led by 2 women who have steered the program through the dark days of the pandemic with strategies that helped us retain licensees despite significant revenue declines, as you can imagine. If you're selling souvenirs and you don't have visitors, that's a dark time. But now the program not only survived through that, it is now on track to surpass pre-pandemic revenue with some high-profile lucrative deals that help promote travel to the state. Because it's very much not just about getting the money. There are a number of deals we pass up because they don't further tourism and in fact may go against our strategy of making sure that the logo stands for tourism, for example, for all of New York State, not just New York City, et cetera, et cetera. So it's important for it to both fulfill the money side of it, but also promoting tourism. We also recognize the importance of small local New York businesses, and Brand and Blend works with companies locally to help them be successful licensees. So, for example, we have I Love New York merchandise now available at all 10 of our welcome centers, as a growing number of stores and tourism attractions across the state. One new licensing deal we wanted to point out here, we've launched a brand partnership with Swarovski, with a product line launched as part of the opening of their flagship store, their first flagship store on Fifth Avenue here in New York City, opened in December in time for the holidays. So the products they have licensed with us, you can see some here, crystal-studded jewelry, pens, keychains, pins, and a limited edition bowling ball-sized I Love New York apple covered in red crystals. It can be yours for just $20,000.
And no way to get samples.
And there are no samples. We have the wood mold that it was made from, but that's all. And so and the important thing, this deal, like all of our deals, comes with travel information about New York State. So, for example, within the store, that case you see there, that is the case in the store on Fifth Avenue. But next to it, there's video footage of New York State travel destinations playing in the store itself. So whenever we do these deals, part of it is how are you going to promote tourism in New York State. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on was our funding updates. Kelly Baccarizzo and her team have been busy with our tourism grant programs, as they often are. So as we mentioned at the last TAC meeting, Market New York, we had over $40 million of requests for grants through Market New York, and only $15 million appropriated to give it away. So that was a very competitive round, right? $15 million available, $40 million in requests. This past November, we were able to announce the 59 projects that were awarded for round 13. 13 of those actually are capital and construction projects. 46 of them are marketing, working capital projects. To date, 97% of the grantees have initiated the next steps of the award processing and are moving ahead with their projects. Just a couple examples so you know the kind of great projects that are being funded. For working capital, the marketing projects, $660,000 was awarded to Fort Ticonderoga Association so that they could create a marketing plan to promote and market Northern New York historic sites, including Fort Ticonderoga, Saratoga, and other New York State historic sites as part of the National 250th America 250 commemorative period. The National September 11 Memorial Museum received over $216,000 to support a portion of the cost to host the commemorative public art installation on the night of September 11, those iconic pillars of light, which were at risk of no longer being there. They cost a lot of money, and that's done by the museum itself. They now have a grant from New York State through Market New York to help subsidize that. The Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra received $118,000 in collaboration for Rock 2024 Total Solar Eclipse Task Force. They're hosting and promoting a special community concert, as I said, the night before, Sunday, April 7th, to encourage people to come for a longer stay for the eclipse in Rochester. $62,000 to the St. Regis Mohawk Tribe to enhance the Akwesasne Cultural Heritage Tourism Destination. So that includes they're doing some great projects where local members of the tribe are hosting, for example, basket weaving, which they're known for. Actually, it's basket decorating. For guests, for like small groups and that kind of thing. And so they'll be able to now promote those tourism offerings, improve visitor outreach, and drive overnight and multi-day visitation to the region. $50,000 to Tea Leaves Inc., who are going to host and promote Ithaca Reggae Fest, which is a tourism special event held in the Southern Tier. And then a couple of capital projects that are being funded. I don't know if it's ROMI or ROMI. OMI. Thank you, Randy. Our OMI is getting $2 million to fund a portion of a major capital project that will include 18 pavilions anchored by a visitor center in the capital region. And then the Friends of Rosamond Zoo at Burnett Park in Syracuse received $432,000 to construct a botanical garden and upgrade to a state-of-the-art enhanced sound and visual system. So you can get the full list yourselves. I encourage you to go to the Regional Council website at regionalcouncils.ny.gov. Frankly, if you just search Market New York in Google, take a look. There's 59 great projects that have been funded. And then tourism matching funds, the 2024 program year applications closed on December 5th. Our staff is currently working with grantees to process their payments. Some grantees have already started their quarter one spending with the anticipation of that disbursement coming in the next few weeks, hopefully. All 62 counties are participating in the program for this year, and 9 out of 10 of the regions have received matching fund bonuses to execute regional marketing programs that will complement their county-based programs. And then I just want to finish my report by doing a quick look ahead, because a few things we know that are coming up between now and our next meeting. The quarterly DMO Association meeting is being held February 1st in Cooperstown, and I'll be joining our colleagues there. NYSTA, the New York State Hospitality and Tourism Association, has its advocacy conference in Albany on February 13th. That's formerly their lobby day. And the Museum Association of New York is hosting its annual conference in Albany from April 6th to 9th. I Love New York, as we have for a number of years now, is partnering with them to support that conference, and we'll have museum industry partners from across the state doing networking and workshops, things you'd expect at a conference. You'll note that that overlaps with our next TAC meeting, which is on April 8th in Albany.
April 8th or 9th?
9th. The meeting's on the 9th.
Okay.
We weren't making you come up on the eclipse day. However, it's happening, the whole conference is happening during the eclipse. They are having an eclipse watching event and party. Albany's not exactly the path of totality. Forgive me, David, but it's still a great place. And so just to keep in mind, if you wanted to come up early before the Museum before the TAC meeting, the Museum Association conference is happening during that time. I also want to mention that I'll be attending Brand USA Sales Mission. We're going to Australia and New Zealand next month. You know that was the newest market added to our international target markets. And that was probably about, I don't know, 7 years ago or so now. In that time, we actually have not sent staff. We've had an officer, we have a rep there, but I'm actually going to be going for 5 different trade shows across 2 weeks of travel. And we expect that we're going to see over 200 people for each of those shows. So hopefully over that time there'll be over 1,000 people or so. In addition to the shows themselves, we're doing pre-scheduled meetings with tour wholesalers, travel agents, members of the travel trade, travel media, so that we are able to kind of maximize that trip. But I'm excited to go. But mostly what I'm excited about is the ability to be there and let that very important market know, particularly as they have had new nonstop service added, what a great destination New York is for them. So excited for that. That concludes the report.
Oh, very good. Any questions for Ross? No? Okay. So I'm happy to introduce our guest speaker, Madeline, is it Giannet?
Giannet.
Giannet. Yeah. It's kind of close.
Yeah, you were.
French 102 kind of working.
All good. You're on.
Maddie is the marketing director of the New York State Office of Parks and Rec, and will be gearing up and will explain to us what the plans are for the 100th centennial celebration for New York State Parks. So welcome, Maddie.
Great. Thank you, Christine, Ross, and everyone for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Really excited to be here. And glad to be representing Parks Public Affairs Bureau, as well as just other bureaus across the agency that are really helping to bring the centennial celebration to life. So excited to share just a quick sneak peek with you all about what we have currently going on and what will be coming up. Before we dive into that, though, I just wanted to share a few other updates related to tourism that have recently been announced that are affecting our agency. One of the biggest ones is the New York State Swims Initiative, which the governor announced right before her State of the State. We're really excited for this opportunity to help support bringing more equal access to swimming for New Yorkers to weather these hotter summers that we're seeing, but also to help prevent drowning. The slide doesn't represent everything that's involved in the initiative, but just wanted to note a few different things related to infrastructure as well as access. So we'll be restoring Lake Sebago at Harriman Lake State Park, which was devastated during Hurricane Irene. We'll also be building out the swimming area in Quarry Lake at our newest state park, Sojourner Truth State Park, which Ross mentioned earlier. And we'll also be transforming the East Bathhouse at Jones Beach State Park into a destination spray park for families to enjoy. The initiative also includes access opportunities. So we're expanding our free Learn to Swim program, which is really great at our state parks. We're establishing a grant program for municipalities to increase their lifeguard staffing. And we're also going to initiate a pilot program to offer free sunscreen at state parks as well, which is wonderful. So a few other things related to tourism announcements. Our free snowmobile weekend will be happening the first consecutive Saturday and Sunday in March. The governor announced that last year that this would become a permanent weekend so that tourism groups and partners can continue to plan and bring people to parks to enjoy that as well. We're also working on the details of a program to grant free access to state parks for veterans and Gold Star families, which was something that the governor also announced, and we will be rolling out that program in the spring. And then finally, if the centennial isn't exciting enough for 1 year, we have some really big blockbuster years coming up. We'll celebrate our anniversary this year. We'll also be host to the Ryder Cup in 2025 at the Bethpage Black course. And then in 2026, we will obviously support the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary War. Great. So with that, we'll get right to the centennial. It's been really exciting to be involved in bringing this campaign to life, and really just an opportunity for us to continue to encourage visitation and really showcase the breadth and the depth of the system that we have. Before I start with some of the slides, wanted to just share a quick little, we internally have been calling it our teaser video that we launched in August, but essentially the anthem and the tone that we've set for our centennial year.
Where will your next adventure take you?
A vision 100 years ago to connect people to New York State's most celebrated lands has since transformed into the state park system we know and love today.
A system as vast and varied as its visitors, encompassing 360,000 acres of beaches, campgrounds, trails, golf courses, and so much more.
A collection of protected lands, some timeless and others yet to be discovered.
While you may have your favorites, we treasure each and every one of our 250-plus properties.
From world-renowned Niagara Falls, boasting the wonders of nature,
to the largest collection of Revolutionary War sites, spotlighting our state's rich historic heritage.
This system was built for you. For 100 years, you walked the trails, camped in the forest, organized summer cookouts, and swam in the lakes and pools.
You've created memories and passed down traditions.
You've helped forge the last 100 years of recreation and stewardship.
And will help ignite 100 years ahead.
So wherever you're headed next, we'll see you out there.
So a big thank you to the I Love New York team, actually, for helping us to put that together. So Rich's team in Albany, Rick Machung, and the video team there helped to find some footage for us for some of the state parks and sites that we haven't had a chance to film yet, and help to bring that to life. So many properties, right? And we're also really proud that the entire video was voiced by our staff. So we had different staff in Albany come in and record. So
were you on there in the beginning?
I was.
I thought that was you.
It was, yes. So we're really proud that this was an opportunity that we could really engage folks across the entire agency being involved in. So what are we looking to do this year? We have a full year. We kicked off on January 1st with our first day hikes. We want this to be a statewide celebration. We want everyone to really take part in this and understand that this system of state parks and historic sites was built for them. Public land is something that we should all have access to, that we should all be able to enjoy. So we're doing our best to make sure that celebrations that we have, the activations and the programs that we're doing are accessible and available to everyone. We do have priorities that we're trying to set and really key into when we think about the centennial. They're focused on restoring and expanding our visitor capacity, reaching new and underserved audiences, facing forward into climate change, positioning New York as a recreation destination, and continuing to strengthen our community partnerships. So we kicked off back in August with a barnstorming tour. We brought the Commissioner Kulisade, on a 2-day, 10-stop tour. He was a huge champ, visiting 10 different properties in the course of 2 days. We had a lot of fun. And truly, it was just a great opportunity for us to announce and tease and get everyone really excited about the fact that 2024 was going to be a really special year for state parks and historic sites, and also to showcase the breadth and the depth of the system. So, as you see from some of the photos in the top right, Commissioner Kulisade took part in a lot of different activities, from exploring the Cave of the Winds at Niagara Falls, riding a bike over the walkway over the Hudson, zip lining at Jones Beach. We put him to work. He was definitely tired afterwards.
Get rough on a zip line.
We'd be remiss, though, to not thank and acknowledge all of the amazing partners, as you'll see from the logos on the screen here, that helped to make this happen. This really was a community celebration and a community kickoff. So between elected officials, TPAs, other tourism partners, other community organizations at both the local and the regional level, we were able to really to kick this off successfully and really strongly. So again, it's a full year. There's a lot to celebrate. There's a lot to be done. One of the first activations that we have recently launched is our Centennial Challenge. We announced that with the governor near the end of December in anticipation of January 1st and the kickoff to the year. What we're essentially doing is we've put together a list of 100 different activities or missions that individuals, visitors, and patrons can complete at state parks and historic sites across New York, and encouraging them to complete 24 out of the 100 activities. When they do, they will receive a Centennial sticker, which you see here on the right-hand side of the screen, and they'll also be entered into a promotional giveaway. We will select 24 lucky and random winners at the end of the year to receive a 3-year Empire Pass, again, to continue to encourage that visitation, to hopefully convert those who may not already be into lifelong park goers and park visitors, as well as some fun Centennial swag. We've done everything that we possibly can to make this challenge accessible and fair to everyone. So thinking about the activities from a location neutral perspective. So rather than an activity saying, visit Niagara Falls and take a selfie in front of that specific waterfall, we've brought in the activities to visit a waterfall at a state park, visit, go hiking on any trail that you can find in a state park or something like that. So doing our best to make sure that no matter where you are in the state, if you don't necessarily have the means to travel or the access, you can still participate with us. And that's just one of many things that we have planned. The team is still very much in the process of bringing a lot of the Centennial to life. So this slide just gives a very quick snapshot of what we have planned for the year. I won't go through everything, but I'll touch upon just one item in each of the verticals. We're working with our historic preservation team on an interactive timeline to speak to our history, to speak to the last 100 years, talking not only about what has happened in terms of our system and the evolution and the transformation, but what was happening in the world as well. There are a lot of great stories to tell, and we're doing our best to tell them visually. So we have a variety of videos that are currently out there. The Anthem video, which you all had the pleasure of watching today, information and videos on our Centennial Challenge, and trying to think, we also have a recap of the Commissioner's Barnstorming Tour with more to come. Lots of events and activities planned throughout the year, really leaning into well-loved and well-known events that happen on an annual basis. First Day Hikes was really geared toward the Centennial this year, which was great on January 1st. We'll do the same thing with I Love My Park Day in May. But also thinking about what are some new signature events that we could introduce that are specific to our regions, to what our regions offer, and again, really highlight our Centennial and this milestone year for us. We can't do it alone, right? We are a small but mighty team, but we also want to lean into our partners. So our sister agencies, our TPAs, our friends groups, other community organizations, to really help amplify the work that we're doing for the Centennial, and again, to just broaden our reach with the content that we're sharing. So again, just a very quick snapshot of some of the teams that we're currently working with. And then finally, under additional, some of the different activations we have planned. I've talked about the Centennial Challenge, the Conservationists for Kids. We're partnering with the DEC on the April 2024 edition. That will go into the hands of every single fourth grader in New York State and be completely dedicated to state parks and historic sites. So a really great opportunity to educate them and hopefully encourage them to share with mom and dad, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles that they want to get out there and get involved in visiting parks and sites this year. And then I'll also just very quickly speak to Share Your Story. It's a project that we will be announcing with the governor hopefully next week, but just an opportunity to invite our patrons to share their stories and their memories of parks and sites over the last 100 years. And again, like I said, we'd be remiss if we didn't look to our partners and our community organizations to really bring this to life. So what are we doing behind the scenes to make sure that our TPAs, our other sister agencies, have what they need? Those of you around the table who need anything, please just let me know. We have a digital toolkit and design assets that are out there to help empower and educate everyone to use this Centennial brand the way that it was designed. A variety of videos as well. And then a link page or a link tree that we worked on for the public that we're kind of just calling a choose your own adventure, if you will. It's one landing page. It has a variety of different buttons. If you want to learn more about the challenge or interact with our timeline, shop on our Centennial merch, whatever it might be, everything will be located in that one resource. And I will pause there for any questions.
I have a question. So as a tour operator, this looks amazing. So, and as we were speaking earlier, I work with the families here. The local market, who could I work with on putting something, as we were talking about earlier, like the whole cabin. I've always been curious, and I know a lot of people are really interested. it's a great, reason, theme is the centennial. So who could I work with?
Me.
Okay.
Right here.
Great.
Let's chat.
All right. Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is very much a rolling campaign, right? I'm kind of calling it that rolling thunder, that steady drumbeat type of campaign. And one of the things that I'm hoping to do is to be able to work with our tourism partners very soon to get everyone materials that they need, so that way they can help us. They can make sure that they're sharing.
Excited?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Sure. So for I Love My Park Day, it's usually a great day. I participate in the past to represent my chamber, my local chamber of commerce. I wanted to know, will there be an expanded, calendar of events for those days locally at each park? Is there a plan for that?
Or specific to like advocacy days, like I Love My Park Day?
Well, more or less specific to activities. I mean, typically, the day, involves obviously volunteers coming to help beautify the park. Mm-hmm. And a lot of youth come out and assist in that endeavor. But in terms of something more event-based on that day, I was just wondering if that was something that was under consideration.
Yeah, so we are definitely encouraging all of our parks and sites to really roll the red carpet out, the green carpet, as I like to say, because we're parks, for I Love My Park Day, First Day Hikes. You'll see here some of the photos of the different things that our regions did. So we're definitely encouraging them to think about how can we centennialize those well-loved events every single year. We're also working with our friends groups and other community partners to think about other volunteer give back days that will benefit the system and benefit the properties. And then the regions also will be planning showcase events. So again, to bring the community together and to invite others to either come for another visit to a park or site that they know and love very well, or maybe one that they haven't had a chance to visit yet. Did that answer your question?
Yes. So in other words, will the regional councils be kind of working with that? Well,
yes, they will be helping with that. Yep.
Well, thank you, Maddie. Thank you. We appreciate the update and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
We'll get out there.
Yes, we'll see you out there, right?
We'll
Yeah,
see you
that's
out
the
there.
last slide here. But yeah, thank you for the time, everyone. We appreciate it.
Very good. I would like to open it now. If anybody has any new business that they'd want to share, I'd be remiss. A couple of people did join us during the meeting. One is Kellyanne Curtin from NYC Tourism and Conventions, and we were recently at a Dovler Media Tourism update, Ross, and I hear since you're going to Australia, just wanted to share that they've made it into the top 10 of inbound countries for New York City, and as New York City goes, so does the state. They had in 2023, they're forecasting 415,000 visitors, but they're expecting 586,000 in the coming year. So that's a 30% increase. So with your help, we're expecting 35%.
Right.
Okay, no pressure.
Right.
But any questions, comments for to share?
Where are you? We're guests.
That's okay. Guests are welcome.
I always like to bring a positive note, and I've been around a long time. Ross's report certainly was comprehensive, but from the outside looking in, talking to a lot of DMOs in the private sector around the state, the structural clarity, I want to coin that phrase, the structural clarity of the State Division of Tourism and ESD today for the industry and for the private sector, from my perspective, for whatever that's worth, is exceptional. It really, people know who to go to get something done. They kind of know what the reporting lines are. There doesn't seem to be some of the challenges internally that there were a few years back. There have been some administrative changes. Those weren't easy to make, but they have added to some exceptional confidence in the organization. That's part one. Part two is the state's presence, the paid staff of the state's presence in out-of-state tourism programming is making a world of difference in terms of the conversion of travel trade and media. When they see the staff, contractors are great and we all have to use them, but when they see the leader of I Love New York, or when they see the staff that is competent, says I work within the programs. This was evident just at ABA, but it was certainly evident overseas in some of the Brand USA things. And the fact that Ross is traveling and is present is great. The fact that Ross was, for the first time in probably over a decade, present at the Travel Industry Association of America, USTA, educational seminars for tourism organizations was, I heard it from all over the United States, New York State's finally present. And so for whatever that's worth, congratulations and thank you.
Very good. Excellent. Thanks for that feedback. Valerie?
I'm being prompted by Natasha to remind everyone that the New York State Tourism Industry Association annual conference will be April 17th to 19th in Niagara Falls.
Okay. Yeah, Kelly was saying that you can't be heard. I don't know if there's a way of having our TAC members be able to join us verbally. And Catherine, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Oh, there we go. Oh, okay.
Before we did
Here we go.
Our next meeting is on the 9th, and that conference is after that.
Natasha, you muted yourself.
That's one of the reasons why I didn't on that one.
I had a question. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep. Go ahead, Kelly.
Hi, everyone. I'll say Happy New Year, too. Just a quick question back to Ross, and or maybe it was Rich referring to research. One of the things been in discussion is the visitor profile, and any status update on that information.
Yes, actually, Sarah might be best to say, because I know we're in an RFP process.
Yes, it should either be on the contract reporter or it's going up on the contract reporter shortly. And then we'll be hiring an outside firm, not just for this year, but someone to do a visitor profile for this year and then again in 2 years. So we'll have a little bit more consistency with the visitor profile coming out.
Right, but the hope is our industry has talked about the value of New York State providing information, demographic information on who is our traveler, where do they come from, how long do they stay, how many people are in their group, et cetera, et cetera. And we've done that throughout the years, but not on a terribly regular schedule.
Yeah.
And so our hope is to regularize that a little more. So hopefully we'll have a firm set up, and we'll be able to have that later this year, and then again in another couple of years.
Great. Okay. All right. So, not hearing or seeing any hands.
Well, if anyone saw, I don't remember the article,
Rich.
but there was I think I saw a link this morning in the New York Post that there was a survey that New York City was the #1 rated tourism
Time out.
city.
Yeah,
time out.
Time out, New
right.
York. Yeah. Great. Of course it is.
Yes.
It's like-
No, I think it was a global. I think it was global.
Yeah.
#2 was Cape Town.
Okay.
Right. I think so. It was international. Yeah.
Wow, excellent. I'm glad you mentioned that. There was a whole email trail this morning about that finally someone,
Exactly.
yeah, 'cause,
You can see it in print.
yeah, it's good to see it in print. A validator.
Wanted to follow up, though, on Greg's comment on the position of I Love New York. And a lot of you know I have a unique position now that I'm a tour operator, seeing it from both sides. So as a tour operator at ABA, taking appointments, there are a lot of destinations there. And on the appointment side, you're sitting on the floor and you're just sitting there. The I Love New York signage, so this is more to the experiential team, was the highest one on the floor. And it was the one, because everyone's at the same level. So when you look up, that's the one that you see. So standing out in front of everyone. So as you're sitting there all day for many days, that's one that's standing out. So I wanted to.
Secret. So the other Orlando doesn't figure it out. Okay?
It doesn't have to be a secret. We paid for it.
Orlando here.
You're right. No, but the secret is
I agree with you.
we leverage our success on I'm taking my I Love New York hat off and putting my business development hat on our New York State business development trade shows. We've obviously had a big presence there for years, and we've increased that presence over the past few years, more video, bigger signage, and we've leveraged a lot of what worked there as we rolled out our expanded I Love New York trade show presence. So,
I agree, though. The hanging sign was, because there was only, I think, 2 on the show floor altogether.
And that one's big.
Yeah. So it was very powerful.
And tour operators should just hit up with everything from everyone, and when you look up, I'm like, okay, that's the one that you're seeing.
So you roll into trade shows, it's all about breaking through the clutter and the noise and the trinkets and the tchotchkes, and you have our logo and our presence, and people just automatically, like, well, we know already, but let people know that you're right.
Considering the reaction, are you planning to do that in future trade shows?
Oh yeah, I mean, as I was saying, we already are, and now it's not a one size fits all. We are strategic in terms of sometimes it's staff, sometimes it's reps, sometimes it's a huge booth, sometimes we're paying partners or sponsoring partners. So it's different models for each. But by all means, yes, we are trying to make sure that we have if nothing else, a booth presence that's actually being created sort of modular that could scale up or scale down. So definitely we will be replicating it in a number of
modular,
places.
both physically and strategically. Who shows up, what our messaging is. We have a repository of all, for the biggest possible presence, and we pick and choose based on the audience and the space and the budget.
I think it's great. I remember being here, 8 years ago, and we had to fight to go to these trade shows. I mean, we really had to make the case. And we made the case, and we've seen the success and reaping the benefits, and it's really
people notice.
It's terrific.
When you make a splash and when you're not making a splash, they notice that you're not participating.
Easy, but the case makes sense. Like, we're not stretching it. Like, it makes clear sense of why we need to travel to the trade missions, why we should be at the trade shows. And when you see the response from it, it all comes together.
And the halo effect in terms of just even the meetings that we had and all the New York booths surrounding the I Love New York booth, or who shows up for the dine around, I think it all is because of the presence that you guys have.
TAC member Catherine Nichols has a question, comment.
Oh, I just wanted to, I'm not sure, as I was a few minutes late popping on, if you shared the Niska news from last week. You did?
Yeah, we sure did.
Okay, so we are so excited about that, given that we've been a few months without an executive director. So Ross has a new agency head in one of the sister agencies and a former colleague of Christine. And just finally, we recently, 2 weeks ago, closed our final funding opportunity of this fiscal year, which was our capital opportunities. So staff is hard at work, and those will be announced later this spring. And I guess, like all agencies, we're hard at work on the budget process as well. So that's really the update, but we're just so thrilled that Erica's joined and look forward to her attending a meeting soon. And so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. We put out an invitation. We wanted to give her a chance to get situated. So maybe in Albany or before, afterwards.
Can you imagine after 1 week doing your testimony? So she's got a lot going on this week before going to Albany in a week. So. Anyway.
Natasha Caputo, thank you, Catherine. Natasha, did you have something?
I just wanted to echo and just really reinforce, and the trade show activation is so key. It's so important for not only the big DMOs, but the TPAs across the state. And I hope we can also just activate and have that same energy for the meetings side and the convention business. So look forward to working with you all on that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's some of that's already happened. I know we talked about the last meeting, we were at is it SIDA? The student SIDA. Yeah. We were at SIDA, and they're coming to New York next year, so we're going to have a big presence there. So, yeah, by all means, that's what this is. That's what this travel trade program is all about. It's about going after the groups, the meetings, the conferences, sports. So we're excited to finally be able to do that.
Good. All right, I just
wanted to mention, having been on the sales mission to London, just how great, I wasn't on the Germany side, but just how great those sales missions were this past October, I guess. Yeah. And the KBC, the new agency for the UK, also was just really impressive. So congratulations on that. Thank you.
That's good to know. We do have to wrap, but I do want to remind you all that our next meeting is going to be on April 9th, as we mentioned, the day after the total eclipse. April 9th in Albany. I have it as the Blue Room in the State Capitol at 11 a.m. Okay, but will we be, like, can we go to the museum? Isn't there a museum event as well? Or am I?
So the Manny conference is happening at the same time.
Yeah.
There's no like scheduled events for TAC to take place at Manny. It's just up to the
Yeah, we encourage you, if you're interested, and we do encourage you, to go to the Manny website, Museum Association of New York, and see if there are any activities you want to participate in. It's a good excuse. You're going to be in Albany anyway, hopefully.
Right. Excellent. So we'll see you Tuesday, April 9th at the State Capitol, 11 a.m. And I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Valerie. Seconded, David. Okay. Second. Thank you. Terrific. This meeting is adjourned. It is now 12:23. Wishing you all a very safe travel back to your regions.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.